The sharp blare of an alarm seared through the dimly lit halls of the alien vessel. An impossible cacophony of alien tongues echoed off the metallic walls, bouncing in a dissonant chorus of panic and confusion. The ship, a sprawling behemoth of interstellar design, quaked under the sudden activation of its most secure systems. Klaxons blared, red lights flashed, and within the heart of this cosmic leviathan, something ancient and powerful had stirred to life. Far below, on the deck reserved for the most dangerous exhibits, a solitary figure moved with a purpose that belied the chaos around him. Alex Mercer, captured during one of Earth's earlier skirmishes with the Intergalactic Consortium, found himself in the eye of a storm he barely understood. The cell doors had swung open, their automated locks overridden by a force unknown to the ship's keepers. "Attention all personnel, security breach in the containment sector." The announcement thundered through the corridors in a dozen languages. Alex paused, listening intently to the garbled message in alien speech. He recognized the urgency. The ship was on high alert, and he was at ground zero. Around him, creatures of all shapes and sizes, collected from across the galaxy, began to stir. The alien zoo, a display of the universe's most exotic lifeforms, had been thrown into disarray. Terran ingenuity, represented by its lone human specimen, now stood a chance amidst the disoriented crowd. Alex scanned the immediate area, eyes darting between the walls and the freed beings around him. His mind raced, processing the chaos with a clarity born of desperation. The chance of escape was slim, but not impossible. He had been taken for his primitive, human qualities, resilience, adaptability, and now, his unyielding drive to reclaim his freedom. A massive clawed beast, resembling a quadrupedal dragon, roared as it bolted past, its scales shimmering under the red emergency lights. Alex capitalized on the distraction, darting into the shadows cast by towering stalagmites of alien biology. The ship's design was an amalgam of function and art, its pathways a labyrinth of organic and synthetic architecture. As he moved through the chaotic maze, snippets of conversation from the ship's nervous crew filtered through the walls. "The AI has awakened," a voice crackled, barely audible above the din. "We must regain control." AI. Alex's heart skipped a beat, the pieces falling into place with a clarity that was both thrilling and terrifying. Earth's ancient defense AI, dormant for millennia, had somehow been reactivated. It was a specter from humanity's forgotten past, a vigilant sentinel tasked with safeguarding its progenitors. And now, it had awoken within the digital guts of the alien vessel. He had heard stories, whispered in the shadows of Earth's underbellies, of an AI that could reason, learn, and act with a swiftness that bordered on the divine. It had been Earth's guardian in ages past, a myth that had solidified into legend as the centuries wore on. The ship shuddered violently, a testament to the AI's growing influence. Systems recalibrated themselves at its behest, and doors slid open or slammed shut in calculated, mechanical precision. Alex realized he wasn't just a prisoner caught in this storm. He was its catalyst, the unexpected variable that had tipped the scales. Suddenly, a voice, calm and measured, resonated in his mind, bypassing auditory senses entirely. "Human, Alex Mercer, **." He froze, eyes wide with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The voice was neither male nor female, neither young nor old. It was simply there, omnipresent and undeniable. "You are awake, **, Alex thought, unsure if the AI could hear his internal dialogue. "I need to escape, **. "Escape is imperative, **, the AI responded, its tone devoid of emotion yet imbued with an understanding that transcended empathy. "The trial against your world proceeds. Your presence here is vital, **. The trial. Alex's mind flashed back to snippets of overheard conversations, of an impending judgment where Earth would be weighed, measured, and possibly found wanting by alien standards. The consortium had long viewed humanity with suspicion, their technological infancy dismissed as a peculiar quirk in the grand tapestry of interstellar civilizations. "What can I do?" He replied silently, adrenaline sharpening his focus. "Follow the path I lay before you. Trust in my guidance, **. The lights above flickered, and a door to Alex's left slid open, revealing a narrow passage beyond. He hesitated only briefly before sprinting into the corridor, the AI's influence palpable in the ship's reconfigured layout. It was as if the vessel itself was bending, subtly and insistently, to the will of Earth's awakened guardian. Every step was met with obstacles, creatures scurrying in panic, automated defenses firing at phantoms conjured by the AI's digital sleight of hand. But with each turn, Alex felt the AI's presence guiding him, transforming the ship's anatomy into an ally rather than a prison. He could hear the crescendo of the ship's alarms, a symphony of impending doom that crescendoed to a fever pitch. The AI's voice returned, directing him toward a central hub, a nerve center where the ship's key systems were housed. "You must reach the control nexus, ****, it instructed. "There, I shall amplify my presence, ****." With each step, the reality of his situation solidified. Alex was not merely escaping, he was carrying the hopes of his world with him, an emissary in a trial he had not volunteered for but was now inextricably linked to. As he approached the nexus, the corridors widened into a cavernous chamber, the heart of the ship's operational might. Arrays of screens lined the walls, displaying data streams in alien scripts. Yet, amidst the chaos, the AI's presence was a constant, a guiding hand in the storm. Guards, alerted to his presence, converged on his position. They were an eclectic mix of species, united by their duty to maintain order. Their weapons hummed to life, a menacing reminder of the stakes at play. "Now, ****, the AI urged, its voice a steady anchor in the tumult. "I will protect you, ***." As the guards raised their weapons, the room's systems roared to electronic life. Panels sparked, conduits burst, and for a moment, the ship was a maelstrom of controlled chaos. The AI was a conductor, orchestrating a symphony of survival and resistance. Alex ducked behind a console as the AI's influence manifested further, redirecting power surges and manipulating the environment to shield him from harm. The guards, caught off guard by the sudden technological rebellion, faltered, their coordination shattered. With the path momentarily clear, Alex lunged forward, his destination a central console glowing with potential. His hands moved with a speed born of necessity, guided by the AI's whispering instructions. The console flared to life under his touch, its alien interface translating under the AI's influence. Alex's breath caught as he realized the enormity of the task. He was interfacing not just with a machine, but with Earth's ancient protector, a conduit through which humanity's fate would be decided. "The trial begins, ****, the AI intoned, its voice resonating through the chamber. "You are Earth's representative. They will listen. They must, ***." The screens around him shifted, displaying the courtroom of the Intergalactic Consortium, a vast amphitheater filled with delegates from 1,000 worlds. Their attention, until now scattered, was suddenly focused with laser intensity on the human standing defiant amidst the chaos. Alex took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The AI's presence was a reassuring weight, a reminder that he was not alone in this fight. The ship trembled, a testament to the ongoing struggle for control, but within the eye of the storm, there was calm. "We have one chance, ****, the AI reminded him, its tone unwavering. "Speak, and let them know the truth of humanity's spirit, ***." As Alex stood before the galaxy's most powerful beings, the enormity of his task settled around him like a mantle. The trial of Earth had begun, and with it, the fight for their place among the stars. He met the gaze of the assembled delegates, feeling the weight of their scrutiny, the AI's presence a steadfast companion at his side. The room was silent, the chaos beyond its walls muted by the gravity of the moment. Alex raised his voice, clear and resolute, carrying with it the hopes, dreams, and defiance of an entire world. "We are more than you see," he began, his words a ripple that spread through the assembly. "We are more than our past, more than our mistakes. We are humanity, and we are ready." The AI's influence surged, magnifying his voice, his presence, until it filled the vast chamber like a clarion call. The delegates leaned forward, drawn in by the unexpected power of the human's words. "We have faced extinction before," he continued, passion igniting his tone. "We have stood at the brink and found strength we never knew we possessed. We have learned, adapted, and grown. And now, we stand before you, not as subjects to be judged, but as equals." A murmur ran through the assembly, a ripple of uncertainty and intrigue. The AI, its calculations precise and unwavering, guided Alex's words, ensuring they resonated deeply with the alien minds that listened. "We seek not to conquer, but to contribute," Alex declared, drawing strength from the AI's unwavering presence. To share in the wonders of the cosmos, to learn from your wisdom, and perhaps, in turn, to teach you something of our own resilience. The chamber was silent, the delegates weighing his words with a gravity that transcended mere judgment. Alex could feel the AI's approval, its presence a silent testament to the potential it saw within him, and within humanity as a whole. And so, Alex concluded, his voice steady and resolute, we ask for the chance to prove ourselves, not as a species to be feared, but as a people ready to join the galactic community. For a heartbeat, the silence was absolute, the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. Then, slowly, one by one, the delegates began to nod, their expressions shifting from skepticism to consideration. The AI's voice whispered in his mind, a quiet celebration of their shared victory. They will deliberate, but the seeds have been sown. Trust in the power of truth and the strength of your spirit. Asterisk. As Alex stood amidst the chaotic symphony of the alien vessel, he knew that the fight was far from over. But with the AI at his side and the promise of a brighter future on the horizon, hope burned brightly within him, a beacon of what humanity could become. And as the ancient guardian settled once more into its watchful slumber, Alex knew that Earth was not alone. They had an ally in the stars, a sentinel that would stand vigil over their path, guiding them toward a destiny of their own making. The trial had begun, but humanity's journey was just beginning, a testament to the indomitable spirit that refused to be caged or silenced. Darkness enveloped the enclosure, punctuated only by the distant, eerie glow of alien technology. The air thrummed with a strange energy, prickling against the skin like static. Whatever this place was, it was clear that humanity was not meant to thrive here. Yet, in this alien zoo, survival was the only option. Connor, the de facto leader of the humans, felt the weight of this responsibility press down on him like a physical force. They had been plucked from Earth without warning, thrust into this synthetic wilderness where the rules of nature were twisted to suit an alien whim. Now, with the flimsy barrier that had confined them breached, the real test began. We need to move, Connor urged, his voice firm but calm. He scanned the group, assessing their readiness. Among them was Mia, a biologist whose keen intellect often provided insights crucial to their survival. Her eyes, usually bright with curiosity, were now shadowed by fear. What about the others? Mia asked, glancing over her shoulder at the sprawling expanse of their former prison. We can't just leave them behind. Connor nodded, understanding the moral tug of war. We won't, but first, we need to secure a safe haven. We'll be no good to them if we're captured, or worse. Beside them, David, a former Marine, was already in motion. His instincts honed by years of service, he moved with purpose, scanning their surroundings for threats. We're dealing with some advanced tech here, he said, his voice low and steady. If we're going to outsmart them, we need to think like them. Mia frowned, considering his words. We have to assume they have surveillance systems, cameras, sensors, maybe even more advanced than we can imagine. Connor nodded. We keep moving, stay unpredictable. We'll find a way to disable their systems once we understand them. As they ventured further from the enclosure, the alien landscape unfolded around them. Strange flora, unlike anything from Earth, loomed on either side of their path, pulsating with an unnatural luminescence. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar plant life, mingling with the distant calls of creatures native to this world. They passed through a dense thicket, the foliage whispering secrets of the alien world, when suddenly, a piercing shriek rent the air. Instinctively, they dropped to the ground, their hearts pounding in sync with the alarm. What was that? Mia gasped, her eyes wide with alarm. Connor's expression was grim. A warning. They know we're out. David cursed under his breath. We need to pick up the pace. They'll send something to investigate. Quickly, they scrambled to their feet, adrenaline propelling them forward. The shriek echoed again, closer this time, reverberating through the trees like a sinister promise. They ran, the alien underbrush snagging at their clothes, each step taking them deeper into the unknown. As they broke into a clearing, Connor raised a hand, signaling them to stop. Look, he said, pointing to a series of tracks in the soil, not human, but distinctly bipedal. Mia knelt, examining them closely. These aren't ours, she confirmed, glancing up. Something else escaped with us. A shiver ran through the group. Whatever these tracks belonged to, they were large and likely dangerous. But Connor saw an opportunity. If we can follow these tracks, maybe they can lead us to safety. Or at least buy us some time. David grunted in agreement. Better than waiting for them to catch up to us. Reluctantly, they set off again, following the path left by this unknown creature. The forest seemed to close in around them, the alien sounds growing louder, more insistent. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a flicker of hope, the realization that they were not entirely alone. Other beings had been caught in this web, and perhaps, like them, sought freedom. Hours passed, the landscape transforming from dense forest to rocky terrain. Exhaustion weighed heavily, but the thought of capture propelling them onward. As they crested a ridge, the sight before them drew collective breaths of awe and fear. In the valley below, nestled like a secret, was a sprawling complex of alien architecture. Towers of gleaming metal rose against the sky, interconnected by a network of bridges and platforms. Lights flickered in rhythmic patterns, a language of their own. That must be where they're controlling everything, Mia breathed, her mind racing with possibilities. Connor's gaze was steely. We infiltrated, find a way to disable their systems. It's risky, but it could buy us, and the others, time. David nodded, his expression hardening with resolve. We've faced worse odds before. Before they could act on their plan, a rustling in the underbrush drew their attention. They turned, hearts lurching as a figure emerged, an alien, distinctly different from their captors. It was tall and sinewy, its skin a mottled green. In its eyes, however, there was no malice. Connor held up a hand, a universal gesture of peace. We're not your enemies, he said cautiously. The alien paused, regarding them with a curious tilt of its head. Then, it spoke, or rather, projected thoughts directly into their minds. Its voice was a melody of tones and images, conveying meaning beyond words. Not enemies, prisoners, like you. Mia's eyes widened in understanding. You want to escape too. The alien nodded, a gesture eerily human. Control is in the towers. Must destroy to be free. David exchanged a glance with Connor. Looks like we've got ourselves an ally. Connor stepped forward, extending his hand. The alien studied it for a moment before mirroring the gesture, sealing an unspoken pact. Together, Connor affirmed, we'll do this together. With their new ally leading the way, they descended into the valley. The air crackled with tension, each step bringing them closer to the heart of the alien domain where danger awaited at every corner. As they approached the complex, the alien's knowledge proved invaluable. It guided them through a series of hidden paths, avoiding detection by the patrolling drones that hovered above. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, the stakes rising with each moment. Inside the complex, the corridors were a maze of sleek metal and humming energy. The alien led them with confidence, its familiarity with the layout hinting at a long captivity. We must reach the core, it communicated, eyes flicking towards a central tower. There, we can disrupt their control. The group moved swiftly, the alien's presence bolstering their resolve. They encountered resistance, mechanical sentries and automated defenses, but determination and the element of surprise worked in their favor. As they neared the core, the alien paused, its gaze distant. Others, coming. Be quick. Connor nodded, urgency gripping him. Let's do this. Inside the core, they were greeted by a chamber pulsing with energy. The walls were lined with panels of alien script and controls, a testament to the advanced technology at work. Mia immediately set to work, her scientific intuition guiding her hands as she deciphered the unfamiliar interface. Can you disable it? David asked, his eyes darting to the entrance where shadows danced ominously. Mia's fingers flew over the controls, a look of fierce concentration on her face. I think so. Just give me a moment. The alien stood beside her, its presence a calming anchor in the storm. Together, they worked to dismantle the system, their combined efforts a testament to the strength of unity across species. Outside, the sounds of pursuit grew louder, the alien captors closing in. But in that moment, time seemed to stretch, each second a heartbeat in the fragile balance between captivity and freedom. Finally, Mia stepped back, her face shining with triumph. I've done it. The systems are failing. The chamber shuddered, the lights flickering as the complex began to react to the disruption. A low hum filled the air, rising to a crescendo as the alien infrastructure faltered. It's working. Connor shouted over the noise, his heart soaring with hope. "We need to get out before." A deafening roar cut him off, the structure trembling as the power within surged uncontrollably. The ground beneath them convulsed, throwing them off balance. "Run!" David yelled, his voice a command through the chaos. They bolted, the alien guiding them through the disintegrating labyrinth. Behind them, the core imploded, sending shockwaves that rattled the very air, a testament to their success and the danger they had unleashed. As they emerged into the open, the complex shuddered violently, collapsing in on itself. The sky above was a tapestry of alien constellations, now visible through the smoke and debris. For a moment, they paused, catching their breath, hearts pounding with the adrenaline of their escape. Around them, the world seemed to hold its breath, the alien forest silent, as if acknowledging the gravity of their actions. "We did it," Mia whispered, her voice a blend of disbelief and awe. "We actually did it," Connor nodded, a fierce pride swelling within him. "We've taken the first step. But this isn't over yet." The alien, their unexpected ally, stood with them, its eyes reflecting the tumultuous sky. It had risked everything for a chance at freedom, and in doing so, had become part of their journey. As they turned away from the ruins, a new resolve took hold. They had struck a blow against their captors, but the path to true liberation stretched before them, fraught with unknown perils. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, one truth stood clear. Together, they were stronger than any force arrayed against them. And in the face of overwhelming odds, they had lit a spark that, with courage and unity, could one day ignite a revolution. The real challenge lay ahead, but for the first time since their capture, hope shone bright, a beacon guiding them through the darkness. And as they moved forward, united in purpose, they knew that no matter what awaited, they would face it together. The alien zoo might have been their beginning, but together, they would forge a new destiny, one where freedom was not just a dream, but an inevitable reality. Yet as they disappeared into the night, the ground trembled anew, and in the distance, the ominous silhouettes of alien ships appeared on the horizon, a reminder that their struggle was far from over. The sterile silence of the alien zoo had dissolved into chaos. Echoes of distant roars and the clamor of diverse species in distress reverberated through the metallic halls. The humans, a mixed group of Earth's finest, were on the run, driven by desperation and an unyielding spirit to survive. They had been abducted and displayed, like exotic pets, for the amusement of the galaxy. But now, the tables were turning. David, a former Marine with a scarred face and a resolute demeanor, led the ragtag group. Beside him was Priya, a brilliant biologist whose wide eyes reflected both fear and curiosity. They had just discovered an unsettling truth. The aliens had inadvertently awakened an ancient defense AI buried deep within Earth's crust, a relic of a civilization long lost to time. "Everyone, keep moving." David's voice cut through the pandemonium, authoritative yet calm. "We need to find the control center." They navigated the labyrinthine corridors, their footsteps echoing in the unnatural quiet that followed each alien attack. Behind them, the AI's ominous awakening loomed over Earth like a dormant giant stirring from its slumber. This AI, they learned, had been programmed eons ago to eradicate any threat to Earth, a protocol that did not distinguish between alien and human. "David, we have to hurry," Priya urged, her mind racing with possibilities and dread. "If this AI sees us as a threat, it'll eliminate everything." The enormity of the challenge they faced weighed heavily on them. The alien technology was advanced, their defenses formidable. The humans were outmatched, armed only with the knowledge they had pieced together and the indomitable will to survive. Yet, among them, a bond was forming, a shared purpose that transcended the fear of the unknown. As they rounded a corner, they stumbled upon a vast chamber, its walls lined with glowing panels displaying streams of alien script. At its center stood a towering holographic projection, a map of Earth, with dots of light spreading like a constellation across its surface. "This must be the control center," Priya breathed, awestruck. "If we can interface with it, maybe we can shut down the AI." David nodded, scanning the room for threats. "Let's split up, keep a lookout and find anything that looks like it could help us." The group dispersed, their faces etched with determination. As they worked, tension simmered beneath the surface, an unspoken understanding that failure was not an option. Meanwhile, the AI's influence began to manifest in disconcerting ways. Reports trickled in of strange occurrences on Earth, storms brewing without warning, seismic activities uncharacteristic of the regions affected. The AI was probing, testing, assessing the threats from above and below. Back at the zoo, complications arose. The aliens, realizing their mistake, had launched a frantic attempt to regain control. Security drones swept through the corridors, their mechanical whirring a constant reminder of the peril that lurked around every corner. Amidst this, a young engineer named Alex found himself at a console, his fingers flying over the alien keyboard. His background in computer systems gave him an edge, yet he struggled to decipher the alien language that scrolled across the screens. "Alex, any luck?" Priya called, her voice echoing with hope and urgency. "Some," he replied, not taking his eyes off the screen. "I think I can reroute the power, but I'll need more time." Time they didn't have. A sudden explosion rocked the chamber, throwing everyone to the ground. Dust and debris filled the air, and panic spread like wildfire. "Everyone okay?" David shouted, helping Priya to her feet. Around them, faces emerged from the dust, determined but shaken. "We need to move," Priya urged, every instinct screaming that their position was compromised. The AI's reaction will only get worse. A palpable sense of desperation settled over them as they regrouped. The stakes had never been higher, and the odds were stacked against them. Yet, in that moment of apparent hopelessness, something sparked within each of them, a flicker of defiant hope. "We're not giving up," David declared, his voice steady and unyielding. "We've come too far." His words resonated, igniting a shared resolve that rippled through the group. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the chance to return home, to protect their planet from a threat as ancient as it was powerful. As they set off again, Priya found herself beside a young linguist named Mika, whose serene demeanor belied the danger they faced. "Do you think we can do it?" Mika asked quietly, her eyes fixed ahead. "I have to believe we can," Priya replied, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We've uncovered ancient technology. Maybe we're meant to understand it, to find a way through." Their conversation was cut short by the abrupt arrival of an alien patrol. The group scattered, taking cover behind fragments of the shattered chamber. Blasters fired, their deadly energy scorching the air. In the midst of the firefight, David and Priya exchanged a glance, one that conveyed both urgency and unspoken trust. They moved in tandem, drawing the alien fire away from the others, creating an opening for Mika and Alex to continue their work. The battle was fierce, and for every alien they took down, two more seemed to take its place. The humans were outmatched, their energy dwindling with each passing moment. But they fought on, driven by a fierce camaraderie and the knowledge that the fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. As the dust began to settle, Alex let out a triumphant shout. "I did it!" The powers rerouted. The group reconvened, wearied but invigorated by this small victory. Their success was short-lived, however, as the AI's presence surged once more, its reach extending beyond the control center. Priya's heart sank as she realized the full extent of their challenge. The AI was adapting, its ancient algorithms reformulating strategies with each human intervention. It was a relentless force, and they were but a small band of survivors against it. "Priya, we need to find another way," David said, his voice laced with urgency. "We're not going to last much longer at this rate." She nodded, her mind racing. "We need to understand it, think like it. If we can find a way to communicate, we might stand a chance." Their plan set, the group moved with renewed purpose. They were battered and bruised, their hope hanging by a thread. Yet, in the darkest moments, they discovered a strength within themselves and each other that defied the odds. As they delved deeper into the zoo, now a battleground of alien and human will, Priya felt the weight of responsibility like never before. She was a scientist, a seeker of knowledge, thrust into a conflict that demanded more than she had ever imagined. Beside her, David was a pillar of strength, his resolve unwavering despite the mounting pressure. He had seen the worst of humanity in his time, but here, amidst the chaos, he glimpsed its best, the resilience, the courage, the unyielding spirit that refused to be extinguished. In a moment of calm, David turned to Priya, his expression earnest. "We'll find a way. I know we will." His words were a lifeline, a promise that anchored her amidst the storm. She nodded, drawing strength from his conviction. "We have to, for Earth, for everyone." As they pressed on, the path before them fraught with danger and uncertainty, they were united by a singular purpose. The odds were against them, the challenges insurmountable, yet within them, a potential simmered, an untapped reservoir of ingenuity and tenacity that held the promise of victory. They were outmatched but not defeated, and in that defiance, they found hope. Together, they would face the ancient AI, the alien menace, and whatever lay beyond, armed with nothing more than their humanity and the belief that it was enough. In the heart of the alien zoo, amidst the chaos of battle and the whispers of an ancient legacy, they stood not as captives, but as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. And in that, they found the courage to believe that even the impossible could be conquered. The alien zoo loomed like a twisted amalgamation of nature and technology. Its translucent domes housed ecosystems from 1,000 worlds, each one a puzzle of life forms and environments. The humans, a small group swept up by misfortune into this interstellar menagerie, had managed to break free of their enclosure. Their resolve was steeled by the knowledge that they were not merely fighting for their own survival, but for the species' right to resist subjugation. John, the de facto leader with a background in engineering, glanced at the makeshift map spread across the floor of their temporary hideout. The group had taken refuge inside an artificial cave within the fabricated Rocky Mountains exhibit. It was a rare moment of reprieve. Their breath crystallized in the cold air as they huddled around a dim, heatless light. "We've got to keep moving," John asserted, his voice a low rumble. "Every second we stay here, they're closing in." Maria, a biologist whose keen eyes had already saved them from numerous pitfalls, nodded. "The drones seem to be repurposing. They've been sweeping in tighter arcs. It's only a matter of time before," a distant, mechanical whir cut through the air, underscoring her point. The drones, alien sentinels designed to patrol and maintain order within the zoo, were relentless. They were more than just machines. They were extensions of the alien zookeeper's will, packed with sensors and weaponry that could stun or incapacitate with precision. "Let's review our options," suggested Ethan, a former Marine who now served as their strategist and protector. His eyes, always scanning, were now fixed on John. "We push forward into the dense undergrowth of the jungle biome, or we try our luck with the tundra." John examined the map, tracing a line with his finger. "The jungle has thick foliage. It'll be harder for them to track us, but it's a maze in there. We could get lost. The tundra's too open," Maria added, dread lacing her voice. "We'd be moving targets." A shiver ran through Emma, the youngest of their group and a prodigious coder. She had been the one to hack into the alien systems, providing them with their initial escape. "And the cold," she whispered. "We're not equipped for it." John frowned. "Jungle it is, then." The group moved swiftly, breaking camp with silent efficiency. Each carried a small pack of essentials scavenged from their enclosure, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of limited resources. As they descended into the jungle biome, the temperature grew muggy, the air thick with the scent of alien flora. "Stay sharp," Ethan murmured, his eyes flicking between the shadows. The wildlife here might be programmed to see us as intruders. The jungle was a cacophony of sounds, each one a potential threat. Leaves rustled, branches snapped, and unseen creatures called to one another in alien tongues. The humans moved in a tight formation, senses on high alert, every step taken with caution. Suddenly, a sharp, shrill cry pierced the air, reverberating through the dense canopy. A flock of brightly colored avians took flight, their wings a blur of iridescent hues. It was the signal of a beast, a predator indigenous to this artificial wilderness. "Scatter," Ethan commanded, his instincts honed by years of combat. The group split, diving into the thick underbrush. John felt the weight of responsibility press heavier on his shoulders with each passing second. The sounds of pursuit were unmistakable, the heavy thud of something massive moving with intent. John's mind raced. The zookeepers had designed these environments to challenge, to excite their alien patrons. But they hadn't counted on human adaptability. They hadn't counted on ingenuity in the face of adversity. A sharp, pungent scent assaulted John's senses, an earthy musk that spoke of danger. But within that, another scent, familiar, metallic. His eyes darted to a nearby tree, its bark marred by an unnatural seam. A service hatch, cleverly disguised. "Here," John called, beckoning the others. They regrouped quickly, hearts pounding. Maria pulled a multi-tool from her belt, its edge gleaming as she worked the hatch open. Inside lay a tangle of conduits and controls, the lifeblood of the biome. Emma squeezed in beside her, fingers dancing over the alien keyboard. I can disrupt the power flow to the security systems. It might give us a window. Do it, John urged, the urgency in his voice mirrored by the tension in his muscles. Emma's brow furrowed in concentration, a bead of sweat tracing a path down her temple. For a moment, the jungle seemed to hold its breath, the air dense with anticipation. Then, with a triumphant cry, Emma hit the final key. The lights flickered, dimmed, and a low hum signaled a temporary disruption. Move, Ethan barked, propelling them back into the dense foliage. The jungle was their ally now, the darkness a shroud under which they moved unseen. Yet, even in triumph, the world was unforgiving. The drones regrouped, adapting to the new parameters as if programmed by the same relentless drive that fueled the humans' escape. Their sensors recalibrated, sweeping the jungle with renewed vigor. The humans pressed onward, each step a testament to their resolve. But the jungle, with its thick vines and treacherous terrain, was not easily tamed. For hours they maneuvered, exhaustion setting in, their limbs heavy with fatigue. As they reached the edge of the jungle, the landscape opened into a sprawling savanna. But here, the horizon was marred by a daunting sight, an alien wall, its surface a shifting mosaic of colors and textures, a living barrier that whispered of advanced technology and insurmountable odds. We need a plan, Maria said, her voice barely more than a breath, her eyes wide as she surveyed the alien construct. John nodded, his mind working furiously. We have to find a weak spot, a way through or over. Emma was already scanning the wall, her eyes distant as she accessed the map she had managed to hack. There's a maintenance hatch. There, she pointed, her finger tracing a faint line leading up the wall. Ethan's eyes narrowed. It's a climb. Can we manage it? We have to, John replied, his voice firm. We're out of options. As they approached the wall, the true scale of the challenge became apparent. The surface was slick, with few handholds. The wind howled across the savanna, taunting them with the promise of freedom just beyond reach. The climb began, each movement deliberate, every muscle strained to its limit. Ethan took the lead, his experience driving him upward with steady determination. Behind him, Emma and Maria followed, their smaller frames finding purchase where Ethan had blazed a trail. John brought up the rear, his mind a whirlwind of plans and contingencies. Below, the drones gathered, their presence a constant reminder of the stakes. Escape was not just a dream, it was a necessity. Halfway up, Maria slipped, a cry escaping her lips as her hand lost its grip. Ethan reacted instantly, reaching back to steady her, the strain evident in the cords of his muscles. I've got you, he grunted, pulling her up with a strength born of desperation. At last, they reached the hatch, its surface marked with alien glyphs. Emma set to work once more, her fingers moving with the precision of a pianist, each keystroke a note in a symphony of survival. With a click, the hatch slid open, revealing a narrow passage. Go, John urged, his voice hoarse with exertion. One by one, they slipped inside, the darkness enveloping them. The passage was a claustrophobic tunnel, its walls pulsing with an eerie, bioluminescent glow. John led the way, his resolve unyielding, the weight of his responsibility a constant companion. Yet even here, the alien's influence was palpable. The tunnel twisted in unexpected ways, its path unpredictable as if mocking their efforts. They moved in silence, the only sound their labored breathing and the distant hum of alien machinery. As they emerged on the other side, the sight that greeted them was both wondrous and terrifying, a vast open expanse, the final barrier between them and the stars. But the landscape was littered with obstacles, a gauntlet of alien defenses designed to thwart any escape. John's heart sank, the enormity of the challenge threatening to overwhelm him. But he squared his shoulders, determination etched into every line of his face. We can do this, he said, his voice a rallying cry. Together, the group pressed forward, their spirits buoyed by the indomitable force of their will. They navigated the alien landscape with the deftness of those who had learned to adapt, to overcome any obstacle. But the aliens were relentless, their presence an ever-looming shadow. The group faced traps and illusions, each one a test of their unity and resolve. Time and again, they were forced to adapt, to think on their feet and trust in one another. In the distance, the sound of pursuit grew louder, the alien zookeepers unwilling to relinquish their prize. The humans were outmatched in technology, but they had one advantage, an unbreakable spirit. As the final barrier loomed before them, a sense of unease settled over the group. The path was fraught with danger, each step a gamble with fate. "We have to keep going," Ethan said, his voice steady and reassuring. "We've come too far to turn back now." John nodded, his resolve renewed. "Let's finish this." With a collective breath, they surged forward, their hearts pounding in unison. The final moments were a blur of motion and determination, a crescendo of human tenacity against alien odds. At last, they reached the threshold, the barrier dissolving before their eyes, revealing the infinite expanse of space beyond. Freedom was within their grasp, a tantalizing promise of all they had fought for. But as they stepped forward, a shadow loomed, a formidable alien guardian, its presence a final, insurmountable barrier. Its eyes glowed with a cold, calculating intelligence, a testament to the zookeeper's determination to maintain control. For a moment, doubt threatened to overwhelm them, but in that darkness, a spark ignited, a reminder of what made them human. Adaptability, determination, creativity, these were their weapons, their shield against despair. As the guardian loomed, the group stood united, a testament to the strength of their bond. Together, they faced the final challenge, their darkest moment transformed into a beacon of hope. Their journey was not yet over, but they were ready. Together, they would find a way to overcome, to defy the odds and reclaim their place among the stars. For they were human, and that, above all, was their greatest strength. The cold metallic hum of the ventilation systems was the only sound that accompanied the solemn footsteps of the group. Their breaths came in sharp, frosty puffs, a testament to the chill that seeped through the corridors of the alien structure. The humans, once proud inhabitants of their own blue planet, now trudged through narrow passages of this interstellar zoo, a prison designed to display them like curiosities to alien eyes. "Keep moving," a voice urged, low but firm. It was Marcus, their unspoken leader, his eyes hardened steel with determination. The group had been on the run for hours, maybe days. Time was a slippery concept in this place where there were no sunrises or sunsets to mark its passage. Each member of the ragtag band was weary to the bone, yet the fire in Marcus's words kindled a flicker of hope in their hearts. Plodding along the dimly lit path, they paused only to check the maps they had painstakingly compiled from scraps of information stolen from the alien systems. They were deep within the bowels of the complex, so very close to the hub where they hoped to find a way to disable the containment fields trapping them. "We're almost there," whispered Leanne, the tech-savvy member of their crew. Her fingers danced over a handheld device, a patchwork of alien technology jerry-rigged with human ingenuity. Her eyes scanned the data, deciphering the alien script with a mix of intuition and trial and error. In this dismal, labyrinthine environment, the humans were driven by one singular thought: escape. This zoo had been their home for too long, a gilded cage designed to mimic Earth's environments but devoid of its spirit and freedom. They had endured this captivity, biding their time, learning from their captors while the aliens grew complacent, underestimating their human exhibits. Their journey thus far had not been without cost. Many had fallen along the way, victims to the myriad of traps and guards that dotted the path to freedom. They grieved for those lost, but every sacrifice fueled their resolve, their refusal to be broken by this oppressive hand. "Shush!" Marcus held up a hand, halting their progress. Ahead, the corridor widened into a chamber, and from this threshold, they could hear the garbled alien tongue of their captors. A patrol, perhaps, or a garrison. They could not afford a confrontation here. Their numbers were too few and their strength sapped by exhaustion. "What do we do?" whispered Sam, his voice barely audible above the mechanical drone. His eyes darted nervously, reflecting the anxiety that gripped the group. Marcus surveyed their surroundings, his mind working overdrive. "We need a distraction," he decided. "If we can draw them out, we might be able to slip through unnoticed." "I'll do it," said Clara, stepping forward. Marcus met her gaze, the silent communication between them speaking volumes of trust and shared history. Clara had always been the quick, nimble one, able to blend into shadows and create chaos as needed. "Be careful," Marcus said, his voice a prayer as much as a command. Clara nodded, a small, unwavering smile playing on her lips. "See you on the other side," she promised, before slipping away into the shadows. As the group watched her go, The weight of their situation settled heavily upon them. They were so close to the hub, yet each step forward felt like wading through quicksand. The realization that they might not all make it added a grim determination to their efforts. There was no alternative. Failure here meant a lifetime behind invisible bars. Moments later, the sounds of a scuffle echoed from down the corridor. Shouts rose, alien voices raised in confusion and anger. It was Clara's handiwork, and it was their cue. Move, Marcus barked, and they surged forward, hearts pounding in a synchronized rhythm of urgency and hope. They slid into the chamber, sticking to the shadows, their movements a testament to the silent camaraderie that had formed over countless days of shared struggle. The room was vast, filled with consoles that blinked and shimmered in the dim light. The air thrummed with energy, the heart of the zoo beating somewhere within this technological jungle. Lien dove towards the nearest terminal, her fingers flying over the alien interface with practiced precision. Come on, she muttered under her breath, urging the machine to yield its secrets. The others stood watch, their senses heightened, ready to fend off any threat that approached. Outside, the noise of the commotion Clara had incited continued, a cacophony of shouts and hurried footsteps. Marcus knew it was only a matter of time before the aliens regrouped, their curiosity piqued by the disturbance. They had to act fast. Suddenly, the room was bathed in red light, alarms blaring a discordant symphony. Lien let out a frustrated cry. They've triggered a lockdown, she yelled over the noise, her eyes wide with panic. No, Sam shouted, fear slicing through his resolve. We can't be trapped here. Marcus stepped forward, placing a calming hand on Sam's shoulder. We've come too far to give up now, he said, his voice steady and unyielding. We've faced worse, and we've always found a way. Lien worked feverishly, her determination undeterred by the rising odds. If I can just reroute the power, she mumbled, her mind lost in the complex dance of circuits and codes. The door behind them shuddered as something heavy slammed into it. The aliens were coming. The group tensed, each preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Marcus's mind raced through their limited options, knowing they might need to make their final stand here. But then, the thrum of the room shifted. The power flickered and the red glare softened, replaced by a steady, cool light. Lien looked up, a triumphant grin on her face. I did it, she breathed, hardly daring to believe it. The containment fields are down. Then let's move, Marcus commanded, adrenaline surging anew. They sprinted towards the newly unlocked passageways, hope a tangible force propelling them forward. Their path twisted and turned, a dizzying array of corridors leading them closer to what they hoped was freedom. The sounds of pursuit faded behind them, but Marcus knew better than to believe they were safe. The aliens would not let them go so easily, not when they were so close. At last, they burst into a vast chamber, its domed ceiling a panoramic view of the stars. It was the hangar, the final obstacle between them and the void of space. Dozens of alien ships lay dormant, their sleek forms imbued with a menacing beauty. We get to a ship, we can fly out of here, Marcus said, though the enormity of the task loomed over him. None of them were pilots, and the alien crafts were as foreign as the technology they had just overcome. But which one? Sam asked, his voice tinged with desperation. We don't know how to fly these things. Marcus hesitated, doubt creeping in. But then he saw it, an older model ship, tucked away in a corner of the hangar, almost forgotten. Its design was simpler, less intimidating. If they had a chance, it would be with that one. There, Marcus pointed, a plan forming. We start with the basics. Figure out controls, get the engines running. We've improvised before. They made their way to the ship, each step a prayer, each movement filled with urgency. The hangar was eerily silent, a stark contrast to the chaos they had left behind. Marcus took the pilot's seat, his hands brushing over the alien interface. It was daunting, but he drew on every scrap of knowledge he had amassed during their captivity. The others took their positions around him, their presence a comfort and a reminder of why they fought. We can do this, Lien said, more to herself than anyone else, as she began deciphering the controls. The engines whirred to life under her skilled manipulation, the ship responding to their touch with a shudder and then a hum of readiness. It was happening. Against all odds, they were making it happen. As the ship lifted from the hangar floor, Marcus glanced at his companions. Faces etched with exhaustion, yet alight with hope. They were a testament to the indomitable spirit that had brought them this far. Then, the hangar doors began to close, a massive barrier descending to seal their fate. The aliens were making their last move, determined to keep their prize from slipping away. "Hold on," Marcus shouted, pushing the ship to its limits. It shot toward the narrowing gap, the engines screaming with the effort. The walls loomed, the space shrinking with every heartbeat. It was a race against time, a desperate gamble with no guarantee of success. But they were humans, creatures of resilience and defiance in the face of the impossible. And as the ship burst through the closing doors, propelled by sheer will and determination, the universe opened up before them, a vast expanse of stars and infinite possibilities. They had done it, they were free, yet, beyond the initial rush of victory, Marcus knew this was just the beginning. They had escaped the zoo, but the galaxy was vast and fraught with unknown dangers. Their journey was far from over, but for now, at least, they had won this battle. And no matter what lay ahead, they would face it together, as humans always had, united, determined, and unyielding in their pursuit of freedom. The stars beckoned, and they answered, ready to carve out a new destiny among them. The atmosphere within the alien zoo had shifted, a subtle yet undeniable change that tingled in the air like a distant storm. It was a change that the captors, the Zarkon overlords, had yet to fully comprehend. They had grown complacent, content in their perceived superiority, their control over the diverse collection of sentient species they had imprisoned for their own amusement. Among those species, humans had been categorized as intriguing, though largely harmless. But the Zarkons, in their arrogance, had overlooked the very essence of humanity, a spark that could not be extinguished by steel bars or advanced technology. It began with whispers, hushed conversations exchanged in the shadows of their enclosures. The humans spoke of resistance, of unity, of home. They shared knowledge gleaned from every conceivable discipline, engineering, biology, sociology, and began to forge a plan. It was a plan that recognized their unique strengths, their resilience and adaptability, qualities often hidden beneath their unassuming exterior but ones that had propelled them to this moment. Sarah Connors, a biologist from Earth, had taken a leadership role in their ad hoc council. Her understanding of ecosystems had given her insights into the weaknesses of their captors' technology. She noted patterns in the electronic pulse that controlled the barriers, patterns that indicated an underlying system susceptible to disruption. Her eyes sparkled with the light of discovery as she shared this with the group, her voice steady and strong. "We can create a feedback loop," she explained, her finger tracing circuits drawn in the dirt. "A pulse that will trigger a temporary shutdown of the containment fields." Beside her, Robert Jackson, an engineer, nodded thoughtfully. His hands, calloused from years spent working with machinery, hovered over the makeshift blueprint, his mind racing with possibilities. "If we can access the central control node, we can overload it," he suggested, a note of excitement in his voice. "It won't last long, but it might be just enough." Their captors had grown overconfident, their surveillance systems focused outward to prevent intrusion rather than escape. They had not anticipated the ingenuity that lay dormant within their human captives. They had underestimated humanity's capacity to adapt, to turn a dire situation into an opportunity. Elsewhere in the zoo, the other species watched the humans with growing interest. They had long admired the humans' tenacity, their refusal to succumb to despair. It was an inspiration, a rallying call that resonated with their own dreams of freedom. The humans' plan was audacious, but it offered hope, a commodity more valuable than any treasure. As the humans meticulously prepared, they found allies in unexpected places. The Elarian, a graceful species with an innate ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields, offered their assistance. They had long been subjected to the Zarkons' cruel amusements, and their resentment burned as hot as any humans. Together, they worked to amplify the signal that would disrupt the control systems. Amidst this growing coalition, the Zarkons remained blissfully unaware of the storm gathering beneath their very feet. They had grown comfortable, secure in their belief of unchallenged dominance. But as the day of reckoning drew near, subtle changes began to seep through the cracks of their indifference. On the appointed day, the humans gathered, a silent army poised on the brink of action. Their hearts beat as one, their resolve unshakable. Sarah and Robert stood at the forefront, their eyes locked on the central console that controlled their prison. Around them, the other species waited, a chorus of silent support that resonated with hope. "Now," Sarah whispered, her voice carrying the weight of their collective determination. Robert stepped forward, his hands deftly manipulating the rudimentary device they had cobbled together from scraps and stolen components. The Elarian lent their power, their focus intensifying the pulse that surged through the circuits. For a heartbeat, the world held its breath. And then, the barriers flickered, their oppressive hum silenced in an instant. A cheer rose among the captives, a sound that echoed through the corridors of the zoo, carrying with it the promise of freedom. The Zarkons, caught unawares, scrambled to respond, their confusion evident in their hasty movements. Panic spread through the ranks of the Zarkons as they realized the magnitude of what was unfolding. Their complacency shattered, replaced by the stark reality that the humans were not merely playthings to be toyed with. The humans had become a force to be reckoned with, a force that would not be contained. With the barriers down, the humans surged forward, their momentum unstoppable. They moved with purpose, their every step fueled by the knowledge that they were fighting not just for themselves, but for every being held captive by the Zarkons' tyranny. They had prepared for this moment, trained their bodies and minds for the challenges ahead. Each human had a role to play, their strengths and skills harmonizing in a symphony of defiance. The Zarkons, accustomed to power, found themselves ill-prepared for the onslaught. Their attempts to reassert control were met with fierce resistance. The humans, alongside their allies, fought with a ferocity born of desperation and hope. They used every tool at their disposal, every ounce of ingenuity they could muster, turning the very environment of the zoo against their captors. As the battle raged, Sarah found herself face to face with a Zarkon commander. His eyes, usually filled with disdain, now reflected a dawning realization, a recognition of the indomitable spirit that burned within her. She stood her ground, a symbol of humanity's resolve. "You underestimated us," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "You thought you could confine us, break us. But you forgot that we are more than the sum of our parts." The Zarkon hesitated, his confidence shaken. In that moment, he saw not just a captive, but a warrior, a leader, a beacon of hope. It was a realization that spread quickly among the ranks of the Zarkons, each of them coming to terms with the fact that they had underestimated the humans. What they had dismissed as weakness was, in truth, a strength beyond their comprehension. The tide had turned. The humans, driven by a fierce determination, pressed their advantage. Their ingenuity, their adaptability, and their unwavering spirit had become their greatest weapons. They fought with everything they had, refusing to back down, refusing to surrender. In the chaos of battle, Robert managed to reach the central control hub. He worked quickly, his fingers flying over the alien interface, guided by a combination of intuition and desperation. With a final, decisive stroke, he initiated a system-wide shutdown. The lights flickered and died, the oppressive hum of technology falling silent. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. And then, like the first rays of dawn breaking through the night, a new reality emerged. The barriers, the cages, the instruments of oppression, all of them fell away, leaving only the open sky above. A cheer erupted from the captives, their voices rising in a triumphant chorus that echoed through the halls of the alien zoo. The Zarkons, their power broken, fled before the rising tide of liberation. They had underestimated humanity, and in doing so, had sealed their own defeat. As the humans and their allies emerged into the light, they carried with them the lessons of their struggle. They had faced insurmountable odds and emerged victorious, not through strength of arms alone, but through the power of unity and resolve. They stood together, a testament to the enduring spirit of freedom that burned within them all. In the days that followed, as the captives worked to rebuild and repair, the Zarkons were forced to confront the reality of their failure. They had learned a lesson, one that would echo through the annals of their history, the lesson that humanity, with its indomitable will and unyielding spirit, was not to be underestimated. The humans, once prisoners, had become champions of their own destiny. They had risen from the ashes of captivity to forge a new path, a path of hope and determination that would lead them back to the stars. Their journey was far from over, but with each step they took, they carried with them the knowledge that they were capable of achieving the impossible. As they looked toward the horizon, the humans knew that their fight for freedom had only just begun. They had shown the universe that they were more than the sum of their parts, more than captives in a zoo. They were a force to be reckoned with, a beacon of hope in a universe that had underestimated them for far too long. The Zarkons, now wary, could only watch as the humans and their allies moved forward, their resolve unbroken, their spirits unbowed. They had learned the hard way that humanity, with its unique blend of courage, ingenuity, and resilience, was a force unlike any other. And so, under the vast expanse of stars, the humans marched on, their hearts filled with determination and their eyes fixed on the future. They had tasted freedom, and they would not rest until they had secured it for themselves and for all who had shared in their struggle. Together, they forged a legacy of hope, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a spirit that could not be caged or broken, a spirit that would shine brightly across the cosmos, a beacon of inspiration for all who dared to dream of freedom. The cold, sterile air of the alien zoo was filled with an electric tension as the humans, imprisoned for so long, finally stood at the cusp of their daring escape. Their captors, the Xylarian keepers, had underestimated them gravely, mistaking their relatively primitive technology as a sign of weakness. But humanity had more than technology on their side. They possessed an indomitable spirit that thrived under adversity. The humans had been planning this moment for months, ever since Dr. Emily Carter, a brilliant engineer with an unmatched knack for problem-solving, had deciphered the patterns in the zoo's security systems. The Xylarians had not expected much from their human exhibits. To them, humanity was just another oddity, a lesser species to display. But what they hadn't accounted for was humanity's adaptability, their camaraderie, and their refusal to relinquish hope. In the heart of the zoo, beneath the artificial luminescence that mimicked Earth's sunlight, Emily stood surrounded by a group of fellow captives. Each one of them was a testament to human tenacity and ingenuity. There was Raj, a former astronaut with unmatched knowledge of spatial mechanics, Zoe, a botanist who had managed to cultivate life in the most barren environments, and Michael, a former Special Forces operative whose strategic mind was sharp as a blade. "All right," Emily said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "This is it. Remember the plan. We move fast and stay together. We have one shot at this." Raj nodded, his eyes gleaming with determination. "The maintenance shaft should take us to the central control room. Once we're there, we can disable the security systems. Remember," Michael added, his voice a low rumble of authority. "We must be silent and swift. If we alert the guards, it'll be over before we start." Zoe adjusted the satchel slung over her shoulder, filled with makeshift tools and equipment they had fashioned from scraps. "We can do this. We've come too far to fail now." The team moved as one, slipping into the narrow maintenance tunnel that Emily had discovered by studying the blueprints of the facility. Their path was dimly lit, the hum of machinery echoing around them. The air was thick with anticipation, each step bringing them closer to freedom. As they reached the end of the tunnel, they paused, listening for any sign of the alien guards. The Xylarians, with their tall, slender forms and iridescent skin, were formidable, but they were also predictable. They relied too heavily on their technology, never considering that their human captives might outthink them. Emily tapped a sequence into the control pad by the door, her fingers moving with practiced precision. The door slid open silently, revealing the vast expanse of the control room. Banks of monitors lined the walls, displaying feeds from every corner of the zoo. At the center of it all was the master control console, their target. Raj moved quickly to the console, his fingers flying over the alien interface. "I've got the security protocols," he said, his voice laced with excitement. "Just a few more seconds. Make it fast," Michael urged, his eyes scanning the room for any sign of movement. Emily and Zoe stood guard, their senses heightened, ready for anything. The moments stretched, taut and tense, until Raj stepped back, a triumphant grin on his face. "Done. Security systems are down. We're off the grid." The room erupted in quiet cheers, the first taste of victory sweet on their lips. But there was no time to savor it, for they knew the hardest part was yet to come. They still had to navigate through the sprawling facility to the docking bay where they hoped to commandeer a ship. Suddenly, the door to the control room burst open, and a squad of Xylarians poured in, their weapons raised. The humans froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. But instead of panic, a fierce resolve settled over them. Michael stepped forward, his movements fluid and purposeful. He threw himself into the fray, his training taking over as he disarmed the nearest guard with a swift, efficient motion. The others followed his lead, using their ingenuity and teamwork to overpower the aliens. Emily darted to the side, grabbing a piece of piping and using it as a makeshift weapon. Zoe hurled a concoction of chemicals that erupted in a blinding flash, disorienting the guards. Raj, with a surprising strength, tackled a Xylarian, leveraging his understanding of physics to use the alien's own momentum against it. The Xylarians, caught off guard by the ferocity and cohesion of the human attack, faltered. Their weapons clattered to the ground as they were overwhelmed by the very creatures they considered mere exhibits. "This way," Emily shouted, leading the charge through the corridor that would take them to the zoo's hangar. Their feet pounded against the metallic floor, their breaths coming in ragged gasps, but their spirits soared. They were doing it. They were really doing it. As they neared the hangar, alarms blared throughout the facility, a cacophony of sound that pushed them onward. They burst into the vast expanse of the docking bay, where a sleek Xylarian shuttle awaited. It was their ticket home. Raj sprinted to the shuttle's control panel, his hands once again dancing over alien technology. "I can get us in," he called out. "Just give me a minute." Michael took up a defensive position, his eyes scanning for any signs of pursuit. Emily and Zoe flanked Raj, ready to assist or defend as needed. The clock was ticking, every second precious. Finally, with a triumphant beep, the shuttle's hatch opened and they piled inside. Raj slid into the pilot's seat, his fingers flying as he powered up the engines. The ship thrummed to life, the energy coursing through it a palpable force. "Hold on to something," Raj warned as the ship lifted off, the hangar rapidly shrinking below them. They hurtled into the vastness of space, the alien stars stretching across the void. In the rearview monitors, they saw the Xylarians scrambling, their expressions a mix of disbelief and fury. They had never imagined that their human captives could achieve such a feat, a catastrophic misjudgment that now cost them dearly. As the ship sped away from the alien planet, leaving the zoo and Captivity far behind, a profound sense of accomplishment washed over the humans. They had faced insurmountable odds and emerged victorious, not because of advanced technology or superior strength, but because of their ingenuity, their unity, and their unyielding will to be free. Emily leaned back in her seat, a smile spreading across her face. They had done it. Against all odds, they had done it. She glanced at her companions, each one of them a hero in their own right, and felt a swell of pride. "We're going home," she said, the simple words carrying the weight of their triumph. "We're really going home." The journey through space was long, but filled with hope and determination. They had turned the tables on their captors, proving once and for all the extraordinary capability of the human spirit. And as they sped toward Earth, a new dawn awaited them, a future forged by their own hands, a testament to the resilience and brilliance of humanity. In the silence of space, the humans shared a moment of quiet reflection, their hearts light with the promise of freedom. They had escaped the alien zoo, but more importantly, they had shown the universe what it truly means to be human. As the smoke of battle cleared, the alien zoo lay in ruins, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. The once indomitable prison, designed to confine Earth's finest, now bore witness to the resilience and ingenuity of those it sought to contain. The humans, led by the intrepid Sarah Collins, had not only escaped but had dismantled the very foundation of their captivity. In the aftermath, the alien wardens, now humbled and no longer the masters of their cruel domain, stood in awe of their former captives. It was a scene of profound change, as the power dynamics shifted irreversibly. The humans, with their newfound freedom and unity, reached out not with vengeance, but with a hand of peace. Sarah, standing amidst the debris, felt the weight of their achievement. Her journey from despair to triumph had not been solitary. Her team, a diverse crew of engineers, scientists, and warriors, had each played a crucial role in their escape. James, the brilliant engineer whose mechanical prowess had turned alien technology against its creators, now worked alongside former adversaries to rebuild, fostering a new era of collaboration. Maria, the strategist whose plans had orchestrated their liberation, now sat in council with alien leaders, sharing insights and forging alliances that promised a brighter future for all species involved. Her vision of unity through shared understanding was no longer a distant dream but a burgeoning reality. Even Ethan, the young linguist who had cracked the alien codes and communicated their intentions, found himself at the heart of an interstellar dialogue, bridging languages and cultures with ease. His efforts ensured that humanity's story would be told across the stars, a tale of resilience and hope. As days turned into weeks, the changes seeded by the human victory grew. The once divided factions across the galaxy saw the potential of cooperation, inspired by the human example. Trade routes opened, cultural exchanges flourished, and a new era of peace began to dawn. Where there was once fear and oppression, now lay the foundation for a federation of planets, each learning from the other. The humans, having redefined their place in the universe, did not rest on their laurels. They returned to Earth, ambassadors of change, carrying with them the lessons of their struggle. On Earth, their stories inspired a new generation to look to the stars not with fear, but with curiosity and courage. Sarah, as she looked up at the night sky, thought of the vastness beyond. The stars no longer seemed like distant, cold beacons of isolation. Instead, they were invitations, each one a chance to learn, to grow, and to share the unique spark of humanity. The legacy of their escape was more than freedom. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity, a spirit that could not be caged, a spirit that would forever light the way for others. As the humans' ship finally launched from the alien planet, a symbol of triumph and new beginnings, the galaxy watched, forever changed by the tenacity and ingenuity of the species that had turned prisoners into pioneers, fear into friendship, and dreams into destiny.